Right, this next video is going to be all about looking at creativity. And whilst creativity is not necessarily something that Carol Dweck in her mindset research talks about specifically, it definitely comes through. And if you think about what some of the features that we've looked at so far to do with mindset are, things particularly like looking for solutions to setbacks, they are going to require some creativity and different sort of thinking, because if we try the same old thinking to conquer problems, particularly the sort of problem that we're in at the moment, and climate change, that's another one that springs to mind. If we use the same old thinking of things that we've tried before, we're probably not going to be successful, because these are big problems that need big solutions and ingenious thinking, things that we've not thought about before. So another few people that I would like to kind of mention to you are Ken Robinson, if you haven't heard of him, Brené Brown, who's produced several books that are all brilliant and all very much linked. This one I picked up is Daring Greatly: How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love and Parent and Lead. This one by Sir Ken Robinson is called The Element, about finding your passion and how that changes everything. And then this one, Grit by Angela Duckworth. Now, the reason I picked up those three books from my bookshelf are because they are specifically people that have done their own research in different areas that are very, very strikingly linked to mindset. There's definite connections that you can see, particularly with this one, Grit. In fact, Angela Duckworth did quite a lot of work with Carol Dweck about mindset. So these people all talk about creativity within their writing, which is why I'm mentioning them. So creativity is really the byproduct of having a growth mindset. So original thinking is required at the moment. If we don't operate and raise individuals to operate as people that reflect on their own thinking and start seeing connections between ideas, so connections that maybe necessarily haven't been thought of before, and to be aware of their thinking, which is what mindset is all about. It's having that awareness of your thought processes so that you can change things if you're not thinking in a way that is going to be particularly productive. So the more the fixed mindset thinking rather than growth mindset thinking, which is going to help you to achieve more. So it's that idea of being in touch with your thoughts that I think links mindset particularly with being creative. And so our mindset, I think, drives our creativity, and it allows that creativity to be expressed and achieve those results. So creativity also links highly to mental health. So as human beings, we are creative animals instinctually, and as Brené Brown particularly talks about how if we don't exercise that creativity, that can lead to a lot of problems to do with our mental health. So there are some people that more overtly express their creativity, and some people that might not appear to be particularly creative, but actually maybe what they do in their jobs requires them to be pretty creative. So there's usually some sort of outlet for that creativity, and if there's not, then there might be some problems to do with mental health, like I say. Because you're not kind of letting that part of yourself be expressed, and you're not trying to find meaning out of something, so it kind of might all get a bit stuck. And I think we are trying to find meaning at the moment, so exercising our creativity is particularly important. And there are people, like I say, that in their jobs are exercising that creativity, and perhaps that has been taken away from them at the moment, or perhaps the level of creativity that they were used to expressing in their jobs because of, not being in work as such. So I think there's a lot of links to mindset and also this situation in which we find ourselves at the moment. We are having to look to online sources to exercise our creativity. this, for example, is a way of me expressing my creativity and expressing my kind of links to all of this and my making sense of it. So hopefully it's doing two things. It's helping you to make sense of mindset and what it's all about, but also a way of thinking about this whole situation, hopefully in a more positive and optimistic way than perhaps could be done. And I'm also kind of, so a thought I've been having recently was about a course that I still remember that I took at university. So over 20 years ago now, which I can't really believe that's possible, but it was called Community in a Virtual Space. And we had to write, at the end of it, we had to write an essay, which we got sort of graded on. But I didn't come out with a particularly good mark. And thinking in a growth mindset-y kind of way, which obviously I wasn't at that point so heavily into mindset and I didn't know about it in the same way. But I do remember sort of thinking about it when I got the mark back and thinking, well, why? What could I have done better? And actually, yeah, I probably agree with that because I was finding my way through this and finding it very difficult. And I never really fully reached any conclusion. So it was a bit unsatisfying, really. But I've realised in the last, well, few years, many years, I guess, that the power of the virtual online space, particularly now, is huge. We are coming together in a way that we've never come together before. Maybe some of us haven't been aware that this whole virtual community is out there to such a large extent. And it almost feels like it's very busy online, that we're going to start bumping into each other almost, and that's not very good social distancing. So, yeah, I think we have to be quite mindful about what communities we kind of enter into and what our role within those communities is. But I would say that that's probably the case in any communities, be it virtual or not virtual, that we enter into. We're quite selective about where we kind of put ourselves. The other piece of creativity that caught my eye recently was David Hockney, who has produced a set of images that are all related to spring. And they've been done on the iPad, and they've been created in Normandy. And I'm not sure whether they were done specifically for this. I don't think so. I think he's been working on them for quite some time, and it now seems like a good moment to really sort of push it forth to us. And if it hasn't been done specifically because of the situation we're now in, it's incredibly sort of fortunate in a way, because his images are very striking, and kind of you can see a resemblance to Van Gogh's previous works to do with springtime. So if you haven't seen them, look up David Hockney Spring, because you will find the images that have been produced. And they are an intense reminder that even though the world feels a bit mad right now, that they can't cancel spring. And although it might in some ways feel like it's a bit flaunting it in our face because not everybody can get outside to enjoy the countryside as much as others, it's that way of bringing that natural world into people's homes so that you can enjoy it in that way. So it's not quite the same, obviously, but there are also places that I've seen recently that are saying that they are putting cameras to follow like birds in nests and nature, so that it's bringing that into the home. So going back to David Hockney's work, I think there's a lot of hope within his strokes. And I think growth mindset is also linked to having hope, that sense of optimism, the hope that things can change. So going back to the ideas about intelligence, that we're not born with a certain amount of intelligence, we can develop, we can grow. So it's that sense of change and things that can get better. And spring also gives us that sense of optimism. So there's a really nice link there. And I think all of this is hopefully going to help us to focus on what really matters, so that when we come out of this on the other side, things like spring, which maybe, people disregard because it's there and it happens and we've never been kind of distanced from it like we maybe are now, maybe people will start to appreciate those things a little bit more. And I think as well that all generations, all ages of people are finding ways to express their creativity at the moment. And I love, which I've mentioned before, I love the rainbows that are popping up everywhere. And so when I go out for my daily exercise, I look around the houses, and with my little girl, we count the number of rainbows that we can see, which is really, really lovely. And I saw online, I hope this person doesn't mind me sharing, it was a 10-year-old boy that I saw a poem that this person had written that I thought was such a lovely thing to put together. And for a 10-year-old boy, I think it was, I thought it was just really touching. So the poem goes, it's called See You on the Other Side of the Rainbow. And I think it's a fitting way to end this episode. So, I miss seeing your faces. I'm sad I don't know when we will meet again. I miss being able to run with no limits, an adventure to my heart's content. I'll see you again on the other side of the rainbow, where the sun shines brightly and the storm will clear. I'll see you again and it will be even better than before. Time will fly by and I will love you even more. I'm grateful for the food on my plate and the technology that knows no bounds. I'm grateful for being healthy and safe and for the roof above our heads to shelter us from the great storm. I'm looking forward to seeing your wonderful faces. I'm going to hug you so tight. This won't last forever. I'll see you on the other side of the rainbow. Just you wait and see. So, to whoever wrote that, thank you for giving me such a lovely ending to this episode on creativity.